Okay. Arrow function. So we create a file in the static folder. The reason why, because we use static folder again, because the topic we are talking about today associated with a variable scope, just in case the variable scope won't be affected by Webpack loader. So we use static folder to put a file here so that we can run the raw JS code. And other than that, we import this file, static folder arrow-function.js into the file, into the indexed HTML. So it's running, right? This is static 8.arrow-function.js. So we're gonna talk about the arrow function. So first, what is arrow function? Basically, in ES5, there are two ways to declare a new function. The first is function for1 x y, return x plus y, and the console log for1. This is for 1, 2, 3. This is for 1, and the result is 3. What if we copy this and paste it here before the function declaration? It's still running. So it is still running. It's still run, but even we use it, we call this function before it is declared. Because function this way of declare function has a pre-declaration here. When you create a new function in this way, the function can be pre-declared. And there are another way to declare a new function, like full tool and function xy, return x plus y. This is the way we learned several days ago, right? So this one, this is foo2, 2, 3. This is foo2, 2 plus 3 return 5. But what if we copy this one right here, but you cannot access foo2 before initialization? I think this is pretty simple and clear, because we have learned that light keyword does not allow variable hosting. So the variable cannot be hosted. So when you declare a new function with light keyword, you have to declare it before you call it, before you use it. So suppose this is a var, right? Again, this is foo2, return 5. We'll put it here. Foo2 is not a function, but we know that when you declare a function with var, it could be a variable hosting. So if you pass no arguments, just call it, not just call it, you call it, it causes an error. yeah, photo is undefined right here, right? So just as what we have learned before, right? So it's pretty simple and clear. So these are two ways to declare a new function in ES5. So what about ES6? ES6, we have an arrow function. What we do, we have fo3, and compared to fo2, there's no function keyword, and there's a arrow between the parameter and body, x plus y. Three, and a 4. Return 7, right? Okay. So there's another point is, so if you have only one line here, you have only one line of code in the arrow function body. You don't have to read this bracket anymore. Plus, you don't need this return keyword anymore. So you can just read it in this way. It's running, right? It is running just fine. Everybody can ignore this. This is just a from extension. So yeah. So this is basically the arrow function. Just remember that there's arrow in between of parameter and body and the function body. Let's do a little practice. So if there is a variable called x equal to x arrow x, what does this mean? It means the first x is variable, second x is parameter, and the third x is body, return x, right? So this is the arrow function. Next is, what is the difference between the arrow function and the regular function? So the first difference is arrow function has no this. So this keyword represent the object which call something. Suppose let's okay, just give you an example. Suppose there is a button here, ID btn, and click me button. Click me. Okay. So we get a object button from document.get element by ID. We can use this new API query selector from ID btn. Right. Let's just output this button first. Yep, this is the button. So suppose there is a function for no, we add an event. Button to add event listen their function click. There's a function we just display it. this button. This. So what is this? This is the whole button. So which this represent object. Call this console log. Basically just represent the object in the context. So okay, we add an event listener. So now click button, right? Suppose we have a set timeout method here and function console log this. Again, we give it a second. What about this? Just remove this also. See, after 1 second, it return a window object. It return a window object, right? So this is a set timeout method, and it return. So people ask me, so why the object changed? Because we use this set timeout method, right? And this method actually, the full name of this method is window.set timeout. So it is an attribute of window object. So the window object just have changed. It's not button. It's not O button again. It's not O button again, right? Because this right here is a window.set timeout. Yeah. So what if you still want to display the O button, right? You want the out layer object, not this window, because there's no point we display a window, right? Window object. So in ES5 we can band this. What does this mean? So in ES5 there are 3 ways to change the pointer of this. Apply, call, and bend. And the bend is the only keyword used in the callback function. In the callback function, in like the so-called Ajax scenario, because we set the timeout, right? We're gonna talk about this in detail later. So you just remember that we use bend to change the pointer of this to point to out layer object. Button. It's button again, right? So it is out layer object, not this window object, right? So what if we wanna do it in ES6? Well, it is very simple. We do it this way. Function, we don't need this function anymore. We change this function into a arrow function. Remember I said there's no this in arrow function. It still point to the out layer object. There is no this in arrow function. So when you use the arrow function, this is not pointing to window, it's pointing to there, because there's no there's no this in the arrow function, so this gonna search outside of the function right here, so it's still pointing to the O button, right? So when you click this button, this is the first difference of arrow function. So second is third is arrow function cannot be a constructor. Let, so in ES5 again, ES5, suppose there is a function called people and name. The people accept two parameters, name and age. This name equal to name, this age equal to age. So this is the function object, and this is the attribute of this function, and this is the parameter you passed in. You can call it name 1, 2, 3, 4, nobody care, right? So the reason why we think this is a constructor, because when you get a new person, new people, like vehicle and 28, and you display it, you can see people, vehicle age 28. The reason why we think the ES6 arrow function is not a constructor is when you do it in ES6. So let ArrowPeople equal to name, age, this name, this age. Now let P2 new ArrowPeople vehicle donate console log P2. Oh, I'm sorry. See, ArrowPeople is not a constructor. So in ES6, the arrow function, you cannot use it as a constructor, right? The last thing is, let's see, arrow function cannot be a constructor. Last thing is there is no arguments object in the arrow function. So remember, when in the ES5 there is array-like object called arguments. We can use it. We can convert the arguments into arrays, so then we can traverse the elements inside of arguments, right? But in ES6, there's no such a thing. Arguments does not exist anymore. So, for example, let full5 equal to ixy console log arguments full5 1 2. Sorry. AP is not a constructor. Arguments is not defined, so there's no arguments in arrow function anymore. So what if you want to use it? You want to use the arguments. You use this project. You can use in this way. We have just talked about this yesterday. The rest parameter. Right? Yeah, now you can see it here. The args, you use the rest parameter to convert that into an array. So these are the three things of the difference between the function in ES5 and a arrow function in ES6. And this is the arrow function. What is function? This is arrow function. Okay, this is pretty much everything today.